You said 283, right?
Yeah, 283.
Excellent. So, today is the Shut Your Mouth Lounge, episode number 283. Today will be a bit of a lightning podcast because the Night of Champions is about to go down in an hour. Though, given the timing, it's really more so the Day of Champions. I guess it's the Night of Champions over in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
So, it's an accurate title for them. Fuck the rest of us. Look at me getting an F-bomb in the first, minute of the recording. That way we guaranteed not to get good priority there.
Yeah.
Nonetheless. So, Addy, you are here, right?
Yes.
Are you sure you're here?
Somewhat.
Okay. Well, if you are here, then why don't you go ahead and say what's going out on your channel this week?
Nothing. I am still waiting for my nose to clear up properly so I can actually fucking speak. It's been taking 2 weeks at least since I've actually stopped being sick. But I had a scare last night that it's gonna start a flare back up. So that's good.
Oh.
My immune system is actually just a sign that says please don't touch. And then but yeah. So that's my channel.
All right. On my channel, you can definitely expect Gladius throughout the week. Maybe curious about recording some other things, but I'm probably going to prioritize Gladius because I want to get mechanics wrapped up. Because on Friday, Street Fighter 6 drops, and I will be recording all of the Street Fighter 6s ever. It will be absurd.
Yeah,
there'll be much recordings.
At the earliest, I will be getting Street Fighter 6 and on the 10th.
That is really.
That I'm saying at the earliest.
Okay.
That's when we get paid, and then we'll see.
Yeah. The next fighting games are, can I say, is scheduled really well this time. Because it will be coming only 3 or 4 days after Street Fighter 6's release. Okay, no comment. All right. Nonetheless, Addy, what have you done with your week?
Oh, well, for the group channel, we should hit that too. So, on the group channel, we have let's see. We have Katamari. Then we have literally the final short that's scheduled for right now, followed by Terraria. And that's the week. So yeah, my week. I made the new Fighting Games R logo, which you saw. It exists.
I like it.
Then, let's see. I'm playing right now, currently, a game called Sakura of Rise and Ruin. It's an indie game, and I downloaded it because I was like, well, I want to play something that I haven't played yet, and this game doesn't look particularly interesting, but at the same time, it's better than nothing. And I was pleasantly surprised. The characters...
I've heard good things.
The characters are tropey. Sakura's voice is ear-grating. I don't like her.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Is it not basically a feudal Japan version of Harvest Moon?
No. Close, but not quite. Close, but not quite. So it is feudal Japan, but most of the harvesting is just specific to rice. Everything is rice related when it comes to farming.
Okay.
And then also, the game is a side-scrolling beat-em-up. Or hack and slash, I guess.
Yeah.
And it has third strike parries. Hey, pig.
Okay. Oh, hello, Pink.
Hello.
But yeah, so this game, like, I was pleasantly surprised by this game. Which, by the way, Pink, I'm talking about Sakuna of Rise and Ruin, because the Rise stuff, like, I'm not someone who plays a lot of like Harvest Moon or games like that, but they made the rice cultivating stuff interesting enough for me to want to engage with it, and also the leveling is tied to that instead of actual RPG mechanics, which I enjoy. It's something different.
Huh.
And then the fighting, I mean, the fighting could be better, but at the same time, I can say that I don't enjoy going into like a den of demons and then just drop kicking them into each other and they die.
Yeah.
And when they try to attack me, I just third strike parry them.
Yeah.
So the game it is obviously a indie game, but it's very good. I've been enjoying it. Then
Yeah.
I started and finished Psychonauts.
Oh, really? The first Psychonauts?
Yeah.
I am willing to bet that you were not happy with how it aged.
It aged fine. I wish it didn't take until like 75% of the game was done until I had to read up that it's actually a collectathon. Like, that's a thing. That's a thing that people praising the game kind of left out.
I don't. It's not vital to the beating the game. It's about beating levels.
Doing the collectathon stuff is vital to beating the game because there's multiple levels where a part of the level design is tied to you buying something that you can only get through the collectathon stuff.
Oh, the arrowheads, right?
Yeah.
The arrowheads. I forgot about the arrowheads.
Otherwise,
the arrowheads are no problem to collect.
They are unless or until you get the whatchamacallit, the dowsing rod. But it's for me it's a thing of like, well, if that's gonna be a major mechanic, put it into the game. Like, don't make it appear like side content.
Well, it's the means by which you acquire new gear. I think the assumption generally is that most players don't despise collecting as much as you do, so they would go for it because they want new abilities.
Yeah, maybe. But yeah, I finished the game with apparently a very low rank. And that was funny. But yeah.
If you're going to ignore the collectibles, then you will get that. But I mean, I think that's what you want, right?
Yeah, I mean, being able to do it is good because that means that the collectathon stuff is actually optional. You know?
Yeah.
But yeah. Let's see. Well, I could make a joke about how it's appropriating my culture, because Rez is very obviously a gypsy, but
He is, but he's a cool gypsy. Can you take the Speedy Gonzalez option here of like, he's kind of racist, but he's cool though.
I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know. I didn't find him too cool, but at the same time, I was more offended at the idea of his dad hating psychics, considering the stereotype. So
I think Raz's dad is supposed to be kind of going against the grain there because of his own bad history.
Well, no, that version of Raz's dad is made up. It's not real.
Well, yes, but by the way, what'd you think of that final boss?
Oh, I legitimately cannot tell you about a boss I liked. No, I can. I forget his name. The like second or third to last guy you go into the head of the lucha dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, his bosses were fine, even though they were just the same boss recycled 4 times. But at least they had some variety. They were fun. Legitimately didn't enjoy any of the other bosses in the game. Any of them.
The giant sensor in the Secret Agents world is fine, but other than that, no. Psychonauts is not a game for good boss fights.
Like
the final boss in particular is notorious.
Yeah, a lot of the like enemy design really just felt like to me they were going, okay, so how can we make this the most annoying thing that we can muster? Like, what is the most annoying idea we can have for an enemy in this game? So a lot of times I just play the game like Resident Evil.
Well, I don't think supply conservation was really a priority in that game, but okay.
Well, no, but I spent a lot of time juking people because unless you lock me into the room with them, I'm not gonna fucking fight them. Because it's just not fun.
That's just logical in a lot of games that aren't Resident Evil. Nonetheless, we want to go ahead and let Pink hit his week.
You think I did something this week? You would be wrong.
Well,
sir.
actually, let me correct myself. We should let Pink hit what's going up on his channel this week.
Well, that just leads me into the kind of same joke because I was so busy this week I didn't record anything.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well,
I got a big fat nothing on my end.
That's unfortunate.
Indeed.
So, well, considering that, Addy, did you do anything else with your week?
Not really. I guess I'll leave Psychonauts with saying that, like, I would put it comparing it to other 3D platformers I've played. I would put it somewhere in the middle where it's like I feel like the praise is overblown, but at the same time I actually finished it on like Crash Band or not Crash Bandicoot. Which one? Fuck the Banjo-Kazooie. So you know.
I think you're not a very big platformer guy. I think that the platformer genre was redefined by Mario 64, and that's not the direction you wanted it to go in.
Yeah, kinda. Like I like 2D platformers, but 3D platformers are like a lot of times because of Mario 64 think that they cannot be anything aside from a collectathon, and I think that's wrong.
Well, you use the phrase "don't think they can be anything but collectathons," like they feel trapped in it. I don't know. I think it's just that there are a lot of people who enjoy watching number go up.
I mean, I just want I just want a couple of 3D platformers that aren't collectathons, which do exist, but like when was the last time we got a new Sly, or like
we got a new Ratchet and Clank pretty recently.
Yeah. Ratchet and Clank is one of the two series that does anything that's not collectathon stuff with 3D platformers. And like, once again, okay, that's two series out of like 80. So
I think you're really just the odd one out on this. I mean, you're not the odd one out, because if Soon or Ted were here, they would also agree that Ted would go into a rant about how collectathons are a waste of his time and an insult to his intelligence. Soon would probably just say, yeah, well, Nintendo hasn't progressed anything in the last 3,000 years, and all of its fans are stupid, and I killed them.
I mean, honestly, that is the crux of my issue. The stuff that you raised against Ted. It's not an insult to my intelligence, but a lot of it feels like a waste of my time. And like all of it comes down to motivation. The sake of doing something for the sake of doing it doesn't motivate me enough to actually engage with a game's mechanic. If you give me an actual reason, then I might care. But
Well, I mean, Addy, you can always take this as a mark of pride like Ted does and talk about how this makes you smarter than everybody else. We make him sound like the most unbearable fucking person on these podcasts.
But yeah. I guess that's my week then.
All right. Pink, your week?
Well, I'm struggling. Did you know that my universe, that is based on our GM mode, that Misawa has main evented WrestleMania twice in a row?
Nice.
Some tells me that after the first 40-minute main event, maybe Vince or Hunter or whoever's supposed to be in charge in this kayfabe would be like, okay, Misawa, let's not do that. But then he did it again.
He did it to spite them.
Didn't matter what his opponent was. He went to him ahead of time. We're going into business for ourselves, pal.
Yeah. Yeah. What's really funny though is at the first WrestleMania, he wrestled AJ Styles in a losing effort, losing his championship to Styles.
AJ crushes another Japanese hero's dreams.
Right, exactly. And the following WrestleMania, at this point, Misawa has won his championship back, and he now defends it in the main event of WrestleMania against the one and only Eric Bischoff.
Oh my god.
This time Misawa went over, and it was to nobody's surprise, I'm sure.
I'd like to see Misawa try and get a 40-minute classic out of Eric Bischoff. Oh, good lord. Now, you said there was something that took up a lot of your time this week.
That would have been work related.
Ah, okay. So nothing
exciting. We had inventory this week, so I stayed overtime many a day, and I didn't like it one bit. And yeah, Friday was the worst because that was after inventory. But after inventory, I'm the DSD receiver, so I get all the vendors. And so after inventory, we get all the vendors in the very next day because they weren't allowed to come the day before. And
oh boy.
Apparently a message did not get relayed down to the beer and wine people. Well, not beer and wine, beer and alcohol, other things like that. So they brought like 7 pallets to the store on Thursday, and we told them, no, you can't bring that here. We assumed you knew, and we had to send them off on their merry way. And then they came back on Friday with a little trailer, and we had to unload all 7 pallets of beer and alcohol. And yeah, it wasn't a fun time.
No, it does not sound like.
It took like 90 minutes to get it all unloaded and counted and brought into the store. It sucked. I didn't like it.
Good lord.
Yeah.
I have a. You know what? I better ask this question off recording. Come to think of it, because it could expose me or you.
Fair enough.
I'll probably forget it by then, but nonetheless, it would be funny if the answer is yes. But yeah, that does not sound great. No.
No, it was not great at all. I was not a fan. In my free time, though, I've been playing a lot of 2K23, obviously, just simulating through the years in my in my universe mode. It's been funny. Keeping track of all the stats, a lot of funny stuff going on. I'm gonna compile a list of interesting information and post it in the random thread eventually, or the gaming discussion thread somewhere.
Yeah.
I'm sure some of the stats will pop somebody out there.
But, it'll pop 2 people.
Yeah, 2 whole people. It's like twice my usual audience. And outside of 2K23, I don't know. I played a lot of Dead by Daylight last night. Had a lot of fun with that. So
I'm gonna be real here.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna go ahead and say this here. I know Mike's not gonna watch this recording, so it doesn't matter. The next time, whenever Mike gets his microphone fixed, which good lord, who knows when that'll happen. But whenever he does, I intend on coming back to Dead by Daylight. But I am saying this full well knowing that game has moved well beyond what I remember of it.
Right.
Because I remember when I was getting out was when they were announcing, like, we're going to change this system and that system and this system and that system.
Yeah. So much stuff has changed since then, since we last played. So yeah. I understand that fully.
Ooh boy. Anything else?
I'm trying to remember because I feel like I did watch something in passing, but I don't remember what they were watching. They definitely watched that new Arnold Schwarzenegger Netflix show, Fubar, but I didn't watch beyond the first 5 minutes, so I can't really comment on that.
Okay.
Aside from all of that, yeah, that's basically my week. I played video games that I normally play, and I did work-related stuff. because I'm very work related.
Yeah.
I also harassed you with fighting game stuff.
Did we do fighting game stuff this week?
I harassed you with it.
Oh yeah, you sent me some fighting game stuff, but we didn't actually play anything on Fightcade.
Yeah, no.
I think that was last week.
Yeah.
Did I get the feeling correctly from you, Pink, at the end of the last Fightcade recording that you're maybe looking for a little bit of a break?
From Fightcade at that moment, yeah, definitely, because we had been playing for so long. And did we do a recording beforehand? I don't remember.
I think so.
Katamari.
That's right. At some point after I came back from, I don't remember what I did. I think I went to get some water and maybe a chip or two. But after I came back and got my ass whipped by Addy, I was like, okay. So in my absence of like 15 minutes, I've gone from being mediocre at the game, but Addy is also mediocre, to coming back and getting 27 comboed by Addy, who has now learned all the mechanics of the game and will whoop my ass no matter what character he picks. And I was like, no, I think I'll sit this one out.
Heh. What was I gonna say? That's a neat game, but I don't know if I haven't played against. The thing is, Addy only played Poochie against you, so I can't even really speak to how impressive he is, whether or not,
Right. The bulk of all my frustrations was trying to do the Meta Knight tornado and not getting invincibility frames off of it like I should, because Brawl has taught me well.
Dude, I saw a video the other day talking about why Fox being the top tier in Melee and Meta Knight being the top tier in Brawl caused such tremendous differences for those games. If you play Brawl, the moment you pick Meta Knight, you go, oh, this character's really strong. However, you know what I had never seen before until I saw that video?
What's that?
Just how strong Meta Knight's bullshit, I'm just going to fly under the stage for an hour because I have the health advantage strategy is.
Oh, yeah. Remember flying?
Yeah.
Good times.
Good lord. Like, part of it just boiled down to, okay, Fox being the top tier in Melee isn't nearly as bad because he can't do this shit.
Mm-hmm. You were playing Brawl, but Meta Knight is playing an entirely different game.
Yeah, he's playing Pilot Wings down there. What the fuck?
Meta Knight is playing Tekken 28.
All right. So is that your week?
That sums up my week. Yes.
All right. For my week, I actually did not do a terrific amount. Let's see. Fire Pro, I finally... Hang on. Let me go ahead and check because I have it up here. I can go ahead and check the numbers. So I have went ahead and finally cleared up the entire roster of wrestlers that I had. All of them.
Oh my.
Uh-huh.
Oh my.
So what I've done is I've gone through and regulated all of them so that now there will be no, you remember that one recording, Addy, where you played Vince McMahon trying to be funny, but then the Vince CAW was broken and couldn't pin and shit like that?
Yeah.
I went through and made sure everybody can pin. I went through and made sure that there's a couple of MMA guys that I missed early on because I wasn't thinking. But other than that, I went through and made sure that everybody has top rope dives. I have made sure that the top rope dives, match where you have two that are versus the ground, two that are versus standing. I have went through and made sure that everybody has a submission on the ground from each position. I went through and made sure that everyone's up light grab is a scoop slam, and everyone's up medium grab is a suplex. I have went through and cleared all that shit out. And it is a grand total of, hang on, let me see here. Was apparently somewhere in the space of 1,150 wrestlers I have gone through and done that for.
Oh!
So, if we want to still keep taking a break from Fire Pro, I get it, because this is good to do just for my own purposes. If we never want to come back to Fire Pro, I get it, because I've done this for my own purposes. If we ever do want to come back to Fire Pro, it'll be ready.
I mean, at this point, I've told this to Pink off recording, I think. But at this point, I'm considering just making it so Monday is wrestling day, Friday is fighting game day, and then we do other stuff on like Tuesday.
I mean, considering the amount of recordings we now have banked of WWE and Fire Pro stuff, and how many recordings we now have banked of Fightcade stuff.
Yeah.
But another thing, I wanted to throw this in real quick. I did make sure to not even skip the managers, because I knew that someone would want to play the managers as a joke. And that one was really annoying to get to, because you go to Paul Heyman's moveset, and all of his moves would be punch, right? And then low blow was his finish, but that's it. Yeah. So having to design a moveset for Paul fucking Heyman, of all people.
Just give you Brock Lesnar's moves.
I should have looked up the old Paul Heyman versus Jim Cornette match from WCW to make his and Cornette's movesets. Oh, shit. Because if memory serves, Cornette's finish should not be a low blow like every other manager and coward wrestler. Cornette's finish should be a diving elbow drop from the top rope.
Who's the spot monkey now, Cornette?
Exactly. Oh, God damn it, I'm not doing a fucking flip, so it's fucking different. God damn it. So yeah, that's there if we ever want to hit that. Of course, there's still, if we want to do a wrestling day, then there's still plenty of WWE content to hit, because we did GM mode, but we've never messed around with universe mode. And let's be honest, we didn't really get to play any matches with GM mode because we didn't figure out how until the very end.
That is a fact.
But we didn't figure out that for some reason WWE games are programmed to not function if you have an arcade stick plugged in.
It senses the lack of a second stick, and a text pop-up should just appear on screen that just says "fuck you."
Yeah,
it doesn't even explain why.
It's like the tutorial images, but it just says "fuck you" and it's a picture of Vince.
It's a picture of Vince, and then in the background there is every member of DX crotch chopping rapidly.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's that. The thing that I thought would be the most interesting to talk about this week, though, is the fact that, and Addie's already aware of this, I've talked to him just a little bit about it, but I have gone back into doing the Nintendo Switch Online classic game stuff. And what I have been putting pretty well all of my time into, that was not devoted to Fire Pro, or doing stuff with my family, or doing stuff with you guys, has gone into playing through Link to the Past. Because I played the original Zelda 1 with a guide for a little bit, trying to push through it, and then I accidentally quit in the middle of Dungeon 4, and my last save point was Dungeon 3, so fuck me. You can see where that'd be a little bit annoying.
Yeah.
That game is a bit long. That game is a bit long-winded. Shout out to, like, all right, do a loop around the map 4 times to find all the bullshit that you should be getting before you even go in the first dungeon.
Yeah.
Shout out to the power, the Nintendo power. Get it or die, nerd. Nonetheless, Link to the Past, very different game. Can I just go ahead and say the wild difference between Legend of Zelda 1, where they just set you free in an open world, and it's just like, go, figure out what you're supposed to do, asshole. We're not going to help you with it. Link to the Past, like, just from the outset, hey, there's these fortune-telling huts all over the map. If you ever even have, like, the vaguest not idea of where you need to go, these guys will just explicitly tell you, and they'll refill your health in the process.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And the entire first half of Link to the Past is so much wildly easier than anything on the NES. Like, it is easy to track the scale of difficulty in gaming history. Of NES, extraordinary difficulty. Unfair difficulty, more often than not. Difficulty that you had no way of predicting. Then we move on to the SNES, and game devs suddenly realize, wait, we don't need to build quarters out of these people anymore. And on top of that, the SNES had such, like, the SNES, I don't think we've ever had a bigger jump in tech levels between consoles than the NES from the SNES.
Yeah.
From where NES, it was just primitive blocks, and you could have about 5 screens of primitive blocks. And half the time, the primitive blocks didn't even work and would cause massive lag if there's more than 6 blocks on screen. And then the SNES, like, oh, gorgeous sprite-based graphics. We can have this massive game with shitloads of content in it. And just oodles and oodles of text and stats and numbers to keep track of. Like, would any of the console generation jumps, would you guys argue, had been bigger?
I don't believe so.
Because, I mean, there is, of course, the Nintendo 64, PlayStation 1 jump where we got to 3D gaming. But the games themselves didn't really get any more advanced.
Nope.
As a matter of fact, many of them got more primitive.
Yeah.
I guess there could be an argument made for, in terms of just graphical capacity, similarly to how the jump from NES's ugly block graphics to the SNES actually looking pretty good. You could argue for the jump from, PS1 to PS2, Nintendo 64 to the GameCube. There was a vast difference in graphical fidelity. Because there is no game on the PS1 or Nintendo 64. There's no 3D game on PS1 or Nintendo 64 that you could argue is beautiful.
But people still do it.
Well, if it was the game they grew up with, yes, because you don't actually like that game from your childhood very much, sir. You just want to go back to being a kid when you didn't have responsibilities. There you go. That's how it is for the majority of people who are obsessed with nostalgia.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, like the thing too with that stuff is like, there's the current trend. I don't know if y'all have noticed in the indie games, especially horror games, to be like, all right, PS1 graphics, and it's just like, all right, here's a polygon, I put blur on it. PS1 doesn't even look anything like the PS1, but but either which way, like that aesthetic, I'm already tired of it because. I didn't grow up with the PS1, but I did technically start playing 3D games with the PS1 back when I was like -1 myself. And still, that shit looks bad. Like, the PS1, whenever it had a game that looked good for its time, it was because people gave a shit. And you still need to give a shit if you want to make it look presentable. And a lot of people don't.
I understand it as a meme, and I understand it for horror because the graphics being so simplified does make some things ambiguous that would otherwise be fairly clear design. Silent Hill 1 is one game I can think of where there is a degree of that. Though even then, I've said before, if Silent Hill 1 ever got remade, people would not be ready to see those monsters in an actually graphically visible format.
Yeah, like the thing is that a lot of times with horror, it just really comes off as lazy to me when, because like you do all of this shit and then you
well, the majority of them are indie games. It's usually just 1 or 2 dudes.
But I mean as like a design decision, because whenever you make a game, you have to make choices for what you're gonna try to strive for. And I've seen games, especially like I've seen a horror game that was like, here's 80. It wasn't that much. It was like 6 or 8, but still filters of like, all right, this one looks more like a PS1. This one looks more like a PS2. This one looks more like a I don't know, like a VCR or whatever. Like, and for one, the filters weren't great. That's a strike. Yeah. But also, just like I have the same problem with this sort of approach to game design or to graphics design as I have with big AAA developers using whatchamacallit, noise of like, you're not really trying to go for any particular aesthetic choice with this. You're just trying to hide that your assets aren't as HD as you might want them to be. Which, and then, that bugs me because like there's ways you can play into not being able to make great things. Like there is that saying that I'm forgetting words constantly, but yeah, there is the saying that limitation breeds creativity. And like, if you can't make a big HD fucking Unreal Engine 5 game, then try to make something stylized. And you can. Like, there are games being made in this trend that actually work with the style, and they're trying to make it make sense for why they are using this look or whatever. But other times it's just like, okay, so I just aped the Zelda Link or whatever Zelda Ocarina of Time graphic style, and I did nothing with it, but it's here. And it's the latter that I have a problem with, because when games do actually try to implement it well, and then that actually seems to be a reason for them to do it, then it can be fine. Might not be to my liking. I might grow at it, but I can at least go, hey, this thing doesn't feel like it's just trying to. It just went for this because it's the trendy thing to do. Whereas with the Legend of Zelda one, I honestly just thought, okay, so you made the game, and your thought process was, okay, so I can't really pull people in with my game alone. I need to pull in people with it looking like Zelda.
I have no opinion on this.
I don't play indie games. What are you talking about?
I don't have time for games when I got vendors.
But yeah, what were we talking about?
Link to the Past.
Yeah, Link to the Past is genuinely the one Zelda game where I'll go, yeah, that's good. I believe that this is the like 5th time that I've said this, but I mean it doesn't stop being true. Like when I tried playing all of the Zelda games, Link to the Past was the only one where I went, okay, I could see myself coming back to this eventually once I feel like it. And I played
All right.
And I played all of the most renowned ones. And the Nintendo 64 was just kind of boring. To me, at least.
Yeah.
The owl didn't help.
The owl strikes me as the exact kind of thing that would ruin a game for you.
What owl?
I just killed him as soon as I saw him.
Yeah. I think it's Ocarina of Time. There's an owl that stops you the second you get into the sort of open world the game has. There's an owl that stops you to give you exposition for I want to say 15 minutes of real time, and then at the end he asks you if you want him to repeat it.
Cabra Gebra.
Oh.
But yeah, no, like genuinely the thing that turned me off of Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask was the same thing that I associate with Zelda as an IP overall, was just like this aimlessness of like, okay, so I need to go do this vague thing. Where do I go to do this vague thing? And like as we've explored numerous times, exploration for the sake of exploration is not something that I do for fun.
Yes.
So that's pretty much it. With Link to the Past, it felt like I could figure out what I need to do without too much trial and error. Whereas that wasn't like that feeling wasn't there for any of the other Zeldas, aside from like maybe I guess Spirit Tracks, where I was just like, this game is dumb. I don't like this. Like Spirit Tracks was just really not my speed.
All right.
I like Spirit Tracks, or what little I played of it. I thought it was alright. Especially for a DS game.
I just found the DS Zelda's very gimmicky. With Phantom Hourglass just being like, hey, control Link like you're playing an MMO. And Spirit Tracks just being make train simulator. Train track, yeah.
I like the train tracks. I don't remember the train tracks.
All I remember of Spirit Tracks is having to make a train as Link is just walking to or whatever. Link is just riding the train, and then that's all I remember of Spirit Tracks.
I see.
But anyway, Link to the Past.
Yes, it is quite good. There is a big difficulty spike in the late game, though, that surprised me. Once you start to unlock the Shadow World, which shocked the shit out of me at the time, must have been the first instance of the Elden Ring thing of, wait, you mean there's another side to this map? But this map is already fairly big for the time. But nonetheless, yeah, it's a solid old school game that was one of the foundational games, I guess, for pretty well all of game design altogether, because it was one of the first games that would still be considered a real game by modern standards and not just blinking lights. Look at them.
Right.
Yeah, it is pretty cool. It's difficult to say if I have precise opinions on it. I mean, it's the earliest examples of a lot of things that we would consider like standard classic annoying enemy design, like flying enemies that attack you from off screen very quickly.
Oh
and
yeah.
are never in range of your melee weapons. But you can only shoot your ranged weapons in the 4 cardinal directions. Oh boy.
Mm-hmm.
Fun puzzles though.
Puzzles suck. Why would I play a video game and play a puzzle?
I feel like we've heard this in reference to Zelda before from somebody. Nonetheless, while I'm sure that there's more stuff to say about Link to the Past, I don't remember it. So we will continue on with whatever would be next, which I guess I've run out of stuff to say for my week. So, and we've still got time left in the podcast, which is shocking to me. I figured this one would be another one where we just kind of get a little bit, where we just have to abruptly stop it, you know?
Yeah. Right.
So has anybody got anything else they can think of from their week that they want to hit?
Well, I don't.
I guess I did do tests of OBS because as I do just to see what's up. Especially after the stuff that happened with the last session of Katamari. I was like, I need to fix this, and I have made a revelation. So streaming is just not something that my PC is capable of doing anymore. It barely did it before, but now just at all.
I mean, I hate to ask it, but like one of the worries I've always had is your computer's going to get old at some point.
Yeah. I don't know what I'm supposed to say to that.
Yeah.
There's not much I can do about it.
Yeah, that's the problem.
But yeah, like my mom has been bringing up getting me a new PC a lot, but at the same time, that would involve probably getting a PC on credit, and even this recording card, it's a bad idea. There's no fucking place that would give me a PC on credit. So
yeah,
not only is it a bad idea, it's also an impossible idea.
I mean, the priority seems like it would be to get out of Hungary, wouldn't it?
I mean, yeah, but that is all. It's its own kind of verbs. Cause like, if we're getting out of Hungary, then we should probably have some sort of like some sort of whatchamacallit. Shit, the word. Like some sort of headroom, so we're not just immediately starving wherever we go. And like, if we are moving out of Hungary, we're probably also moving out of Europe, because this is legitimately one of the reasons I refuse to learn how to use German. I just hate the language too much. Like, technically, I know how to speak German. I just didn't use it, so I don't remember how you actually speak German. And I will not move to Germany. You can force me. the idea would be to like move out to America or something, but at the same time, once again, like that costs a good bit of money to just upend everything and then have nothing for the most part. And then also, like, once we're there, all right, then what?
Yeah.
Because yeah.
Well, the priority anywhere you go is going to be okay, job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For which I would need to learn some sort of actual trade, anything, but that's also a problem. And it's basically a thing of like, moving out of Hungary would be nice, but to move out of Hungary, I would need to find a job, which is a problem for multiple reasons, including my city is barren aside from car mechanics, and also we're in a recession.
Yep.
So even if the job market wasn't 90% car mechanics stuff, even then it would be a problem. And otherwise, like if without that sort of stuff, like we can't really move because how do I get how do I get train tickets? Yeah, to move across the fucking ocean. How do I get train tickets? With that money, how do I live for like a month or two without having some money?
Yeah.
And like
It's a difficult process, and when the majority of immigration was done throughout the 1800s, it was done usually through illegal smuggling.
Yeah.
And just sneaking your way onto a boat to get onto the shores of the damn Statue of Liberty, Ireland.
Ireland.
The Statue of Liberty, Ireland. Yes. But yeah. What was I gonna say? So yeah, like that's it's one of those things where like getting the stuff here might be technically easier just because it's a smaller sum of money than actually just leaving. Leaving would be better in the long run. But at the same time, I am at the age where I start to doubt if that's even an option. Like the options weren't really there until now. Like it may just be because I'm a 70-year-old man stuck in the body of a 33-year-old, but like I ain't getting any younger.
Are any of us?
No.
I am.
I was hoping so.
Why would you be hoping that?
I guess you can teach me how.
Oh. The secret is to be born rich and white. Nonetheless.
I failed already.
Damn you, lottery!
Oh boy.
But yeah, like like it's also a thing of like my mom is also investing a lot of money into the house, which it will be like it is kind of necessary to sell it eventually. But at the same time, it's also money thing because like we still live in a ghetto. They tried to make it not be a ghetto. It's still a ghetto for now. The only difference is that now there's more white people. Cool. because white people can be people who live in a ghetto. Obviously.
Oh, it's possible.
Oh boy.
But yeah, like basically, all money go out, no money come in. That's the crux of the problem with most of the things in my life. That's just kind of, I guess, lack of opportunity.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
at the end of the day, it also, like, you're a very intelligent, intellectual person who wants to fill intelligent, intellectual skills in an economy that's still really only interested in unskilled labor.
Yeah, and also the quote unquote intellectual stuff, like half of it is also in the process of getting automated. So like, what the fuck am I supposed to learn?
Well, trades. I mean, that's kind of like they were saying it, even 10 years ago. Okay, we need to start pivoting away from there are actually, for once in history, for the first time in history, there are too many intellectuals. We don't actually need this many intellectuals. The demand is not that high. The logical thing to tell your kids to go to anymore is not college. It's tell them to go to trade school. But nobody listened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you can tell that even in Hungary, because, Addy, what job did you just say that does your town need?
Oh, no, that's not the job that town needs. There's too much turnover.
Well, still, turnover means job opportunities.
Exactly.
What is the highest job opportunity in your town?
Car mechanics.
Which is a trade.
But there's two factories right here, and those don't need people. Well, the factories always need people, but you know what I'm trying to say. Like, actually, I'm wrong. I'm pretty sure if I tried to apply for a factory job, I would be turned away. And like this is even discounting the recession.
Well, these things do go up and down.
But yeah, also just a thing of like there's trades that I wouldn't mind doing. Like there is trade stuff that I've looked into. At the same time, those trades have also kind of been relegated to like, okay, so we need like a guy who knows how to do this thing, and then we're set for the next 20 years.
Heh. That's job security.
Yeah.
That's nice for that guy.
Yeah.
Because like, like, when was the last time you heard about a job looking for fucking blacksmiths or machinists or stuff like that? Because like I could learn that shit. I know the theory for turning metal and stuff like that. I don't have actual experience because I'm not rich. I can't afford a lathe, but or the stock.
Lack of job experience is the general problem with our economy.
Yeah.
This is, I know I keep, when this stuff comes up, I keep referencing that Thomas Sowell like he's some fucking religious figure, I know. But he talks about at one point that our focus on I actually won't talk about it because it's some stuff that some people, I guess, might, fuck it, who cares? Nobody watches this podcast. He talks about how minimum wage laws discourage employers from employing young people. Because as long as the minimum wage laws are in place, it makes sense to employ less people and pay them more. Because if you're going to have people around, if you're obligated to pay X amount, do you want to pay X amount for someone who's actually worth that amount or somebody who's worth less than that amount? And eventually it just makes sense to employ less people at higher rates that are better at their jobs and have more experience. And it doesn't make sense to take on young guys with no experience, even if you like. Whereas before minimum wage laws, you could get them for cheap. And that guy could get work experience and he could put that on his resume to apply for a better job later on after quitting.
But yeah, but then at that point, also the question comes of like, who can actually decide what you're worth? Which, like, I'm not gonna say you
the
decide.
Employer usually.
But I think that's bullshit. Like I think both sides are bullshit because you can decide what you're worth to a company too much. And like I could decide that I was losing the company money when I was employed because I was like they were blaming me for their fuck ups, and I could just be like, hey boss, I want to quit because I'm losing you money. But
see, if you're fucking them, that's their responsibility to fire you.
But yeah, but they were treating me like a lab rat. Actually, like more or less, actually, yeah.
Well, everything is an economic exchange. At a certain point, you decide the amount of money you are paying me is not worth what you're asking me to do and what you're doing to me.
Yeah. But you know what? At the same time, like what's stopping an employer from going? Okay, this guy who has who makes like masterworks, yeah, he's worth $10. for a month.
The thing's not that, is the guy saying I quit.
But you know, then comes the problem with opportunities. If you have like one face to turn to for a job, then can you say no to a $10 offer, even though you would technically make the company a lot more?
If no one else wants what you're making, is it really worth that much?
But if people want what you're making, but there's literally no opportunity to make a new company, then is there really whatchamacallit, competition between companies? Like, you know, like, you know what I'm trying to say. If there is no way to apply your craft, but people are looking for that craft, aside from this one person who is really not willing to pay you, what the fuck are you supposed to do?
Well, the question then is, why is nobody else opening up a business besides this guy in this field?
And this is once again when we reach the point where I'm just going, oh yeah, always have someone else's problem. Like the problem with my problem with whatchamacallit, bureaucracy is exactly this, of like the amount of fucking steps, and the blame is never the guys who you're looking at. It's always someone else's, and they just keep sending you in fucking circles until you go, fuck it, it's not worth the hassle.
I mean, well, that's just kind of the nature of any big government or big business, yes.
Because, like, you know, to me, it's really like, you know, technically what you're saying is not incorrect. At the same time, it really just feels like you're going, okay, but it's not this guy's problem. It's not this guy's fault that this shit sucks. It's that guy's, and I don't give a fuck whose fault it is. I just don't want it to suck anymore.
Well, a lot of times it's the fault of God for making resources limited and not giving us all 3D printers.
Right?
Because, like, you know, it's once again, like, whatchamacallit. Like, in theory, I can see where what you're saying is correct. At the same time, the human nature is too fucking evil for me to see it in anything aside from the corruption it would become. Like,
yeah.
Like, I cannot see things in the idealized way of, you know, if capitalism actually worked, then it would work like this. No, that's fine. Like, same with communism. If communism worked the way people say it would, then it would be cool. Oh, at the same time, it fucking doesn't.
Well, any rational view of capitalism is still built around the idea that people are selfish and just pursue their own ends.
All right.
I mean, it's just, that's how it's generally viewed.
I am very selfish, I will assure you.
People don't really go out of their way to help each other very much, and when they do, they usually donate to very, very inefficient charity organizations.
Oh, yeah. But, like, you know, it's just a thing of, like, the stuff you're arguing argues for the idealized version of capitalism, where like, if capitalism worked the way you want it to. Is it really ideal? Yes. Yes, because it's really? Not fucking...
What I described was pretty well just everybody continually, like, pursuing what is good for them, because if that guy was doing it out of the good of his heart, he wouldn't be, you know, saying, get fucked, I'm only going to pay $10. If he was doing it out of the good of his heart, he would be paying you more. But he's saying, I can sell this to somebody else for, you know, more than $10. I'll pay you $10 for it.
But, like, once again, it's like, it's not the concept of what you call it. Not fucking hell. I'm also playing the game on the side, and I'm getting what you call it, the attention span. Anyway, yeah. Like, it's not the overall thing of the guy paying you $10. It circles back around to, you know, can the employer unbiasedly say you're worth $10? Like, if
that none of them is without bias.
That's true.
The guy who's willing to pay you $10, the guy who's willing to pay you $6, and the guy who's willing to pay you $20 are all have their own biases. It's kind of the nature of the market is to decide which of those guys gets to live. Because generally speaking, the people in your position are less likely to sell their stuff to the guy who's offering $8, because why would you? When the guy who's offering $20 is right there. But if the guy who's offering $20 is buying it at an inefficient price, he's not going to make as much money by selling it back as the guys who are offering $10 or $8.
That's true, but at the same time, there's also some external stuff to consider with this shit. Like, you know, is the guy who's offering $8 does the work is the work environment better?
Yeah, that's another thing you have to consider. And more often than not, when he is making the work environment better, that's still something that costs him money. I mean, it's like, you know, sometimes you take a pay cut because you want to benefit. You know, this business, you don't get paid as much, but they put money into a 401k. Or you don't get paid as much, but they offer stock options.
I mean, I just figured they don't pay as much, but they're not a fucking asshole.
Yeah, that's another thing.
Like, honestly, my standards for employment aren't high. Pay me. Don't be a fucking asshole. All right, cool. Aside from that, I don't care.
Yeah, I guess that's one way of looking at things. Though honestly, things work out in such a way that there's either people who have respect for this kind of business and are trying to get at it and get to working hard at it, in which case they're probably less likely to be an asshole. Or you run into the bosses who are like, I'm king shit around here. Being king shit around here is what makes business work. So I'm gonna tell you how much. I'm gonna come into your room and I'm gonna call you fat and tell you you're lazy, and that's what's gonna make you a good worker. And I'm also gonna pay you the least possible amount of money I can get away with.
Yeah, that was my first boss.
If those guys are truly in charge, that causes trouble. But sometimes there's someone else in charge who is actually good at their job, so he continues to get away with it.
Yeah, that was my first job. What you just described.
My dad's boss. My dad is in corporate. I think I've mentioned this a couple times by now. Yeah. It's been for about a year or two. He was promoted up there, and he is number 3 or number 4 down the totem pole. But the guy who is above him, whoever is number 3 down the totem pole, it's probably number 2 actually, is a raging narcissist, a bully, a jackass, a jack-off, who will fabricate jobs that he knows will produce nothing just to try and keep people busy so they never get off time. Yes. He believes this is what makes a good boss.
That I know this man. I know this man.
Yeah. He is a fucking menace, but he continues to do this because everyone else in the corporate structure is still doing their jobs. So therefore, he continues to make a living. For all intents and purposes, the man is getting carried, as we would say in video games.
Yeah.
Right.
It is what it is. All right, it's about time to go watch the Saudi blood money wrestling.
Oh yeah.
Boy, can I say that CM Punk tweet is even funnier now, knowing that he apparently went back and apologized to Miz in person.
Mm-hmm.
The idea of Punk, of all people, having to eat crow is hilarious. All right.